Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm Belinda Sandor. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome. I am Belinda Sandor and I'll be your host for Lessons from the Cockpit, where I'm going to share both tactical and practical advice every single week for your virtual assistant business. And these tips are for you if you've been a virtual assistant for a while or you're just starting out. And I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. I see you guys joining the live stream, so come on down and tell me where you are, and let's get started. So Lessons from the Cockpit is brought to you by the VA Connection. And at the VA Connection, we work with new, aspiring, and established VAs to help them build the thriving businesses they want through our free online global community. We're now represented in 47 countries, also in our courses and coaching programs. So today we're going to talk about a topic that is really important, and that is how to have a thriving business and work on your own business while supporting all your clients, right? That's a really tough thing, achieving your own business goals while getting client work done. So hello, Frederica. Hello, Frederica. Hello, and Teresa from Kentucky. That's awesome. Thanks you guys for coming. Let me know where you're coming in from. So first, let me introduce myself. And while I do, just keep the, where you're coming in from in the comments. And if you have a thought about this, is getting your client work done and your own business goals achieved, is that easy for you? Is that something that, you figured out, or do you struggle with it? I'd love to hear where you are on that topic. So this is me and my little, as I call her, my little Delish. This is us 11 years ago. And she was 9 years old. I was just starting out as a VA. And it was really a challenging time for me. Things had gotten out of control, and I found myself in the middle of a big, giant mess. And I felt uncertain. I felt overwhelmed. I had no idea how I was going to get out of it, and my confidence was completely shattered. Here's where I was. I was just about to turn 50, newly single mom, no job, going through a divorce, ton of debt. Hadn't been able to pay the mortgage for well over a year, and we had to move 3 times in 4 years before we could settle into a school system that was, that was like a safe neighborhood, and a place where I felt comfortable putting Emily. It was a big deal, and I never was, after like millions of dollars and fame and all that stuff. Really, the things that are important in my life, and they always have been, are the everyday things, like being a Girl Scout leader or having play dates at our house. And now, having a garden and chickens, and the VA lifestyle really, really accommodated that. And so that's what, I knew that I wanted that, and I had to figure out how to get that. So I decided to do admin work, and I just started telling everyone that I knew, like seriously, everyone I knew. And one day at the school bus stop, one of the dads said to me, what's new? And I said, oh, I'm helping people with admin work, and just told him a little bit about it. And his face completely changed. He was so excited because he had started a business recently and was struggling, really struggling. And he said, he knew me, he trusted me, and he said, do you think we can work together? And I said, let's talk about it, absolutely. So it's really, it's impossible to figure out where your clients are going to come from. So stop prospecting, stop wasting your time, stalking people on social media and, trying to figure out, targeting them, who's going to hire me, and just spread the word far and wide. So here we are. And looking back, it's hard to believe how much my life has shifted during this time. So I've been in business. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions as a virtual assistant for 11 years now. And I've worked with over 225 clients, and I've made over $1 million. My track record is basically $70,000 the first year, and then the next 10 years I made over $100,000 every single solitary year, and working with really lovely people who are respectful and kind and happy to pay me to help them. Happy to pay me to help them. And here's where we are today. So this is me and my new husband, Greg. We got married last summer. And these are our kids, David, Charlie, Emily, Stephen, and Andy. And life is really different. My finances are handled. No more minimum payments, no more barely getting by. I have a thriving business. And I was there for my daughter when she grew up. And that was really important to me. That was really important to me. So it's nice to be able to breathe again. It's nice to have days that I look forward to. I wasn't sure that was going to happen. I wasn't sure that was going to happen again, but I'm here to report that it did. So let's talk about goal setting. All right. So, when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, the first thing I thought of is like such a basic thing, but I thought, you have to know what your goals are. Because I think a lot of us are just moving from shiny object to shiny object to shiny object, and we're not really thinking about what the heck am I trying to accomplish. And let me know in the chat if that's you, because life gets really busy, right? It gets busy, and we're just trying to. A lot of us are in survival mode, and I want you to step out of that. I want you to step out of survival mode and into really being proactive when it comes to your business. So I like to have between 1 and 3 goals at a time. And the reason I say 1 to 3 is that sometimes I can't work on a goal full time. So for example, let's say I'm working on my website. I've hired someone to help me work on my website, and I've given them everything that they need. And now I have time, or I'm taking time to work on something else while I'm waiting for them to get back to me. So I like to have a couple of things going on in my business, but they are clearly prioritized. So let's say that the number 1 priority is the website. When the website information comes back to me for whatever I need to do, I stop everything else for my business and focus on that. And so many of us have shiny object syndrome, right? And shiny object syndrome can be really fun and really exciting, and it can make us feel busy, but it's not going to get you where you want to go. It's absolutely not going to get you where you want to go. It's not productive. It's not productive. And I want you to think about why you might be doing that. But even more than that, in my business, in my life, I've figured out that if I can put a feeling to something and recognize that feeling, I can stop the behavior. So for example, if you're just going from thing to thing to thing and you notice it, stop and ask yourself, how does this feel? How does this feel? And really ground yourself in that so you can change the habit, because that's all it is. It's a habit. You're just trying to protect yourself because you're scared. And I get that. I totally get that. But it's not going to get you where you want to go. All right. So know what your goals are. Write them down. Write them down. Now, the first thing about goals is I want you to use words that you can measure, okay, when you write down your goal, because some people might write the goal, I want to feel better, or I want to get more sleep, or I want to make more money, or fill in the blank. But can you see how slippery that is, and how you're not going to know if you got there? And I want you to know when you get to your goal, because I want you to celebrate, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So yes, that's been me. I hear you. It's been all of us, right? It's been all of us. The difference is just I think it happens to all of us. And then there are just people that have decided to take it on and to figure out how to stop the crazy, because it gets pretty crazy, right? So use words you can measure. And here I'm going to give you some examples. Okay. I earn a certain number of money or more this year. And I always like to put in the more or more, like I'll take more, right? So, $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Make it really clear. Here's another one. I consistently bill 35 hours a week. Now, sometimes people don't like to track money. They don't like to, not track, but they don't want the goal to be the money. Maybe they feel uncomfortable with that. And so for you, what I want you to do is do the math. figure out how many billable hours you need at your billable rate to get to your financial goal, and then track your billable hours. Okay, because that's a different way to get to the same goal that might feel better for you. Here's another one. Okay, so oh yeah, this is fine. I am at my ideal weight of number by date, right? Really clear. I exercise 5 times a week. I write and publish an email newsletter every 3 weeks. So can you see how clear these are? There's nothing, squishy about this. And that's at the core of what it takes. All right. Now, I want you to make it feel like a little stretch, right? You do need to believe you can do it, but it might take you a little bit of time to get comfortable with the goal, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But do make it a little stretch so you feel like you're challenged a little bit, because that makes it more fun, All right. The other thing is, when you set your goal, you need to realize that you're going to be a different person when the goal is achieved. You're going to be a different person because if you continue to be, like here's a weight goal. Right? This is easy for me to give as an example. If I want to be at my ideal weight by a certain day, I can't continue the same behaviors or thought processes that I have in the past. The first day of changing how I eat is always the tough one, and the second day as well, because I think, well, if I just eat this pizza today, we'll just start tomorrow. And it's important to start to think like the goal is achieved. No thanks on the pizza, and think to yourself, someone who's fit and trim doesn't eat that right now. And make the choice from already having achieved the goal. The other thing that just occurred to me that is so important, you have to keep your word to yourself. You have to keep your word to yourself, because how you talk to yourself is what you believe about yourself. So I want you to really think about that. If you're always moving a goal and you're not, you're not taking yourself seriously, the reason the goals aren't happening is because you're not taking yourself seriously. You need to promise yourself like nobody's business. And when you do and lean into it and you achieve it, your confidence is going to go through the roof. It's going to absolutely go through the roof. So keep your word to yourself. All right. Now, I want you to write down the why. I want you to get clear on why this is important. And a lot of us, if you haven't listened to Brene Brown and the why and all that stuff, I think that's her, or maybe it's the other guy, I can't remember. But anyway, there's a whole lot of studying about the why, and the why will keep you in your seat. If I want to be my ideal weight, on X day, what's the why? Because I'm going to feel great. I'm going to be able to wear my favorite dress. I'm good. All the things. Same thing for financial goals. The why is I want to have a buffer. I want to feel safe. I want to provide for my family, and really write those down so that whatever the behavior is that you're trying to shift, you can get really centered on the why. Okay. A lot of this is just mindset. We're going to talk about the tactical stuff in a minute, because we're tactical and practical here. But like the how. But understanding these mindset shifts that have to occur is as at the core. And once you do that, it's going to be much easier to make the other shifts, So write down the why. Simon Sinek, I think he's the why guy. Okay. So here are some concrete whys, and you want to make them concrete. Again, I can provide for my family. I can pay or contribute to a vacation plan. I reduce my credit card debt by X this year, right? So, the X is important. The X is really important. That's a goal. That's actually a goal, but it's a why too. Why am I changing my spending in order to reduce my credit card debt by X? To start saving for retirement, so my kids can have X, right? And tell me what else. Tell me what else. Yes, mindset shifts. Absolutely. That's the thing. The question when I want to make a change in my life, and the thing that I ask myself is, am I willing to become the person who has this? Am I willing to do that? Because that's at the core of every goal I've ever had. I decided to do a pretty, a big program, sort of a self-improvement program. And the question wasn't, it was definitely, can I afford it? Do I want to do it? All that stuff. But the deciding factor was, am I willing to be the person it's going to take to make this happen? That's always the question. That's always the question. So here's the tactical part. All right. So you want to map out a path and set deadlines. So for example, if your goal is to build 35 hours a week, you need to figure out how you're going to get enough work to fulfill that, right? So that might be writing a newsletter, that might be networking, that might be following up after networking, and make a plan. And really make a plan. Okay. So let's say it's your goal is to write a newsletter. Here are the tactical steps. Open a MailChimp account. Get all your contacts into a spreadsheet. Import them into MailChimp. Watch the video in the email newsletter system about how to import the template. Import the template. You want them to be really bite-sized for a couple of reasons. One, I know you guys, you love checking stuff off a list, right? I live to check things off the list. So if you have bite-sized pieces, there's more to check off. The other thing is you can be successful. So can you see if your goal is to have a newsletter ready to publish by the end of next month, and that's all you do? There's no way. There's no way, because it's too slippery. It's too slippery. So what I want you to do is write down all the steps. And if you miss one, you can add it in, right? Another thing to check off. We love that. And then put some deadlines, and really keep your word. Keep your word. Put them in your calendar. Okay. Keeping your word to yourself is so important. I'm going to keep saying it. Okay. All right. So map out a path and set deadlines. Another way you can do this, I've done this a lot. I'm looking for my Post-its, is with Post-its. I started this in corporate like 25 or 30 years ago. When I'm figuring out a project, you can stand in front of, like here, I've got a wall right here, or, closet doors, and put each step that you need to do on the Post-it and put it on the wall. And then you can move them around like, oh, okay, this has to happen first. And I just realized I need to do that, and just move them around. Very helpful. Very, very helpful. Okay, good. And I want you to keep in mind, the flip side of this is that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's why we don't come true. Not because we don't want them, but because it's not because we're not working hard. We just don't have an actual plan, right? And because we're working on too many goals, all at once, and our action steps aren't clear, goals go by the wayside, and then we feel bad about ourselves, and then we talk like the chicken chatter in our head starts, and it's a vicious cycle, right? It's a vicious cycle. But here's the good news. This is easy to fix. Okay, it's easy to fix. So I want you to track your progress. This is really critical. I want you to track your progress, and I want you to check things off and really think about it. I want you to sit with your progress. What I do when I'm going for a big goal is I sit down, and I have to kind of force myself to do this, because I just want to shift and move on. Like, okay, that's done. Here we go. But there's some more steps. There's some more steps to it. And one of them is to say to myself, look at that. Like, I just did this thing that scared the tar out of me. I didn't think I could do it, but I sat down and I wrote down what I needed to do, and I did it scared. I did it anyway. And look at me, like, holy, cow, look at this. This is something else. And to really talk to yourself like that, to like pick yourself up. Think about what you would say to a friend if they achieved some big goal, or even a small goal. You would high five them. You'd say, way to go, So I want you to really do that. And, if you don't, we're going to talk about who to talk to about your goals in a minute. But I'll go out in the kitchen, and Greg doesn't know a lot of what I do, at work. And that's fine, But what I'll do is I'll go out to the kitchen and say, okay, I just did this thing that is so cool that I never thought I could do. And I did it despite feeling like I would never be able to do it. I need a high five. And he'll just like give me the best high five. And I don't expect him to understand it. We don't have to go into the details. It's just all about that boom, that energy and that sound of that clap. That's really exciting. Okay. So I want you to do that. Track your progress and congratulate yourself as you make it. Okay. All right. So this is the biggie. This is a biggie. Okay. How many of you have told someone about your goal and then they just, start in talking about whatever it is that they think, and then you feel like this, right? How many of you have had this? Okay. So it's really, it's like the air is let out of your balloon, right? And mostly what's happening is friends are trying to protect you. They're trying to protect you. So Nicole says, I do that with my boyfriend. I think you mean the high five, and it keeps me going. Yep, absolutely. It does. It's like, yes, there's something about that burst of energy, of the high five. And I wasn't a very good high fiver. I had to practice because I'm kind of not that coordinated, but I can do a good high five now. So keep in mind that if you're feeling like this, whoever you're telling is trying to protect you. Okay. They're just trying to protect you most of the time. All right. But I want you to be really careful who you tell your goals to. Okay. For example, people with jobs generally don't know anything about starting a business. So they're not the ones to ask about that. Okay. Because what happens is they throw us off. You don't want too many people's opinions. When I had a big decision to make last year, I thought about it. I decided what the things were I needed to consider. I went out in the backyard. I called my friend who's always in my corner, and I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Do you see any problems with this? Like, what is the hole that maybe I'm missing? And he asked me a couple of questions. I got clear. I decided to do it, and I went for it. Now, even though I don't have to ask Greg to do something, there are certain things that are big that I want him to, be a part of. And so I went to him and I said, I've decided that I want to do this, and this is what it's going to be, and this is what I'm going to do. And, I've checked in with, I told him who I checked in with, and I said, how does that sit with you? And he said, go for it. I think it's great. I support you. And then that's the end of the conversation. And that happened in just a couple of days. So you really want to protect yourself, find people who have what you want and have them help you. Right. And this friend that I called, he's a very successful business person. He understands what it takes to run a business. And I got his opinion because I value it. And it's he's been a friend for a really long time. And so there's a consistency there. He knows what I've been up to. And we have this thing, when one of us has a new big idea, we call it Don't Kill My Baby. And so what we'll do is we'll call on the other one on the phone and say, okay, don't kill my baby. And what that means is I have an idea. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but don't kill it. Just listen and say, aha, and aha. And if there's some big thing I'm missing, tell me gently. And then, just let it go. And so we do that, and we pre-warn each other, don't kill my baby. This is my idea. And that's a nice way to do it. But find people who have what you want, who can be your guide. And that's one of the reasons I started VA school, so that there could be a community of people who are building businesses together, who are leaning into it, and really doing what it takes to be successful, helping each other. Right. All right. So we're going to be careful not to turn into this little girl. And as you reach your milestones, as you check things off, treat yourself. And like I said, I am so bad at this, but I want you to get better at it. You can join me, in the challenge of getting better at it. And it could be an afternoon of reading. One of my favorites is to go buy a plant. I have kind of a ridiculous amount of plants, but go buy a plant, have lunch with a friend, take some time off. All right. Now, I want you to spend time with your goals, and it might sound kind of funny, but I spend time with my big goals by sitting at my desk. I think about the goals. I visualize the goals. You can do this on a walk, how great it's going to be, when this happens and what am I doing to make it work. And, I just kind of have like a little fantasy about it in my head. And I just think about how everything is going to be when that happens. Now, you also want to stay present. You don't want to say something like, I'll be happy when. It's really more about, how great it's going to be when I'm making six figures or when I'm making $2,000 a month. And it's going to feel like there's ease and abundance, and attach emotion to the goal because it helps you get there faster, right? And it also anchors the importance. It really anchors the importance. Okay. All right. And stop the flow of negative thoughts. That is really a killer. So let's talk about and turn them around. Just turn them around. Notice them. It's a habit. It's a habit. See how happy she looks? All right. So let's talk about tools. Okay. There are a lot of tools to set your path and track your progress. Now, here's one that I've used. This is a planner. I'm going to just make myself smaller for a minute. This is a planner. You can find it at Ink and Volt. It's not necessary, and it's also not inexpensive. So I'm going to warn you. It's probably priced like most planners. But I love to have my personal goals be handwritten. It's just kind of a thing. And then my electronic calendar are really where I put my goals for my business, because it gets on my calendar. I see it. I block time off and I lean into it. All right. Really important. So those are two ways that you can really think about your goals. But I invite you to do that, to do goal setting, if you can, maybe outside or in a place where you don't usually sit, where you're not distracted and you can really, think about what you want to accomplish. And here's the thing, consistency, right? Consistency is everything. So find an accountability partner, figure out how to make this work for you, and be clear on what you're doing, one thing at a time, and write down all the action steps, and then celebrate, right? Really celebrate what you're doing. So here's a question. Yeah, you guys put your questions in. How do you input the goals to your digital calendar? So, all right, that's a really good question. Okay. So for example, let's say we'll just take the newsletter. The overall goal is to create a newsletter in a month. So there would be a chunk on my calendar that says, gather all my contacts together, and that might be 3 days in a row because that's a big job. Then there might be a chunk of time on my calendar that says, watch the videos in the email newsletter system. There could be another chunk of time on a different day that says, open the MailChimp account. So what I do is I put the tasks on the calendar with a chunk of time to keep it top of mind, because I look at my calendar every 10 seconds practically, and to keep those action steps moving. Got it. Good. Excellent. Any questions, let me know. Let's drop them in. But consistency, you guys, you just know this. Consistency is the key to life. Doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. Being a virtual assistant and having a successful business is not one and done. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're sprinting and wearing yourself out and getting really frustrated and not able to get any traction, just try to pick one goal. And the thing is that we might feel like we don't have enough time, but having more than one goal is actually, or having many goals and not finishing them is a giant waste of time. So think about it like that. No magic wand. Okay. Good. So before we go, I would love for you to follow me on Instagram at the Virtual Assistant Connection. And I would also love you to shoot me a DM. Now, I'm kind of new to Instagram DM, so give me a little grace there, but I want to figure out how it works and get in there with you. So, come on over to the Virtual Assistant Connection and say hi. I'd love to hear your feedback about today. I would love that. So Lessons from the Cockpit airs every Friday at noon. So please put it on your calendar and join us next week right here. Until then, bye for now.